how to put in some sprites and move them around the screen. So what we want to do first, so we have a new project here. I called it Sprite Practice, because all we're going to do is do some examples of how to move some sprites around. First thing I want to do, though, is I want to change my orientation. So I'm on screen 1, I go to Properties, and then down here where it says Screen Orientation, I'm going to switch it to Landscape. I feel like it just gives my more room to make my sprites move around. So we'll go to Landscape there. And in order to make a sprite move around, I need that grid. I need that X and Y value. And we find that in the animation, drawing and animation section here in the canvas. So I'm just going to pull over a canvas and I'm going to change my height and width to fill parent so that it's nice and big. And now you can see I've got, it's kind of like an arrangement, but the only thing I can put in there are sprites. I can change the background. If I want to change the background color, I could. I'm going to change my color, or sorry, I can change it to a picture if I wanted to. But for now, we'll just change the color to a gray. And what we want to do in here is we want to put in our image sprite, not an image sprite. And we're going to change the picture of the image sprite to, I got a ghost here, but you can choose whatever you want. You can upload a file, choose whatever you want, any picture here. And you can see this is way too big. I want this to move around my screen, and it's not going to be able to if it's this big. So I'm going to change it, make it nice and small. So I'll do 50 pixels here, 50 pixels here. There we go. Now it's small, and now it has room to move around. And I'm going to rename it. Anything I'm going to code, I want to rename. So I'll call it Ghost Sprite. Okay, so now got my Ghost Sprite here. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is as I move this around, you can see down here, I've got X and Y values. So when I put it up in this upper right-hand corner, it should be pretty close to 0, 0. And then you can see it's -1, -4. And as I move it to the right, you'll see my X's are going up. So it's 350, should be about 400. Yep, 400. And as I move it down, you can see my Y's are going up. So it'd be about 200 and 400 here. Okay, so this is just a grid with X and Y values where 0, 0 is up here. The X's get bigger as we go to the right, and the Y's get bigger as we go down. Wherever you place your sprite on this screen, that's where it will start when your app starts. So I'm going to put it right here. So if you wanted it to start in the middle, you can put it here. If you wanted it to start all the way to the right here, I'm going to put my little ghost right there. And the first thing I want to do is I want to code it so that it follows my finger. So as the user drags their finger around the canvas, the sprite follows. So I'm going to go to my blocks here, and I'm going to go to the canvas drawer, and I'm going to pull out when canvas dragged. And then what I want to do is I want the ghost, I want my sprite to move to wherever the finger is. So I'm going to go to my ghost drawer, my sprite drawer. And I'm going to say when sprite move to X and Y. So my sprite is going to move to the X and Y, whatever X and Y I put here. And so I want the current X. So I put my mouse here. I'm going to hover my mouse and then drag out the current X and drag out the current Y. Remember, current means where the finger is right now. So it should follow my X and Y. And let's see here. So now as I move my finger around, the sprite should follow my finger because it's getting the current X and the current Y and moving the sprite. to the current X and current Y. Now I'm going to disable this block here. So right click and disable just to hide that. All this is doing is turning this code off so that I can code something else here. And what I want to do now is I want the sprite to move on its own, but I'm going to steer it by touching the canvas. So I'm going to go to canvas, and like I said, I'm going to touch the canvas. So I'm going to say when canvas touched. Move this down here. There we go. So when the canvas is touched, I want to make my sprite go towards my finger. So I'm going to say point in direction. So I'm in the sprite drawer, point in direction of the X and Y. So getting the X and Y. So that is where, so this is the X and the Y. This will be where the canvas is touched. This is the X and the Y. So it's going to point the sprite in that direction, but it's not going to move yet because I need to change my speed, set my speed. Set sprite speed. Oh, that's not speed. There we go. So set sprite speed, that is here. You want to get, here it is. Set sprite speed to, and then I got to put a number here. So I got to go to math, go all the way to the top, pull out a 0, and then I can change this to, we'll do 7. And let's see if it works. So as I touch the screen, it's getting that X and Y value. It's pointing the sprite in that direction, and it's moving that way. Notice when whenever my sprite's moving to the left, it kind of goes upside down. If I don't like that, I can click this rotate button here, or this checkbox here, and now you can see my sprite does not rotate. I'm going to do one more thing on this setting. I want to be able to stop my sprite. So in order to stop my sprite, I'm going to set my speed to 0, but I can't have this code just out here floating around by itself. It needs an event handler, so I need to tell it when to set the speed to 0. When do I want to stop my sprite? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use when sprite touched. So when sprite touched, set speed to 0. So I have 2 codes here. 2 event handlers. One to make him start moving, set his speed to 7, point him in the right direction, set his speed to 7, and the second one is just to stop him. So let's see if that works. So there he's moving. When I touch him, he stops. So he moves towards my finger, and when I touch him, he stops. Okay, that's this here. That's the set sprite speed to 0. Again, we're going to disable these. And I want to do one more thing. I want to be able to, I want my sprite to be able to move on its own, and I'm going to control them with some buttons. So what I got to do is I'm going to pull over a table arrangement, and I need to make it a 3x3, because I'm going to put in an up button, a down button, a left button, and a right button. So let's go button there, button there. So I need these 4 buttons. Got to rename them. There we go. So now I have these buttons here. I have these buttons here, and now I got to code these buttons. So I'm going to my blocks. And what I want to do is I want to make it so that my my sprite moves when I touch the button, but then stops when I let go. So in order to do so, I'm going to have two things going on here. I want it to start moving when I touch the button. Oops, sorry. Right. Start moving when I touch the button. Let's move this down here. There we go. And I want him to stop moving when I let go of the button. So that's my touch down is when I touch the button, and touch up is when I let go of the button. So in order to make a sprite move, I need two things. I need to tell him where to go, and I need to tell him how fast to go. So I go to my sprite, and I'm going to use the heading. Get sprite heading, or sorry, set sprite heading to, and to move to the right, the heading is 0. And we'll do speed, and we'll set the speed to 6. So let's see if that worked. So when I hit the right button, he moves to the right, but it's still going when I let go. So I need to set my speed to 0 when I let go. Let's see if that works. We'll refresh here. So now when I hold down the right button, you can see he's moving. When I let go, he should stop. There we go. Moving, stop. Now that I've got these, I can duplicate and change it to left. But instead of my heading being 0, I got to do 180. And duplicate these again for my up and down. Put the ups up here. Zoom out a little bit. Sorry, it helps my brain to put these where they go. There we go. So this will be my up button, and remember up is 90. Duplicate this. Up. And duplicate these. And down is negative 90. Headings are weird. Oh, and these need to be down, down, and down. Let's refresh our screen here. Let's see if it works. Going to the right and stop, down, up, left. There we go. Left, right, down, and up. So there we go. So there's our code. So now you have 3 examples of how to make a sprite move around your screen. You can do a drag through the canvas. You can touch the canvas and make the sprite go towards your touch, or you can use buttons and make your sprite move around that way.